Let me ask you something that might make you uncomfortable. Why do some men spend 40 years doing everything they're told? They get up before sunrise, work until midnight, and fulfill their responsibilities without complaint. And yet, at night, they lie awake worrying about next month's bills. Meanwhile, some men live the exact opposite life. They're calmer, less stressed. They aren't constantly chasing money. They aren't anxious. Money seems to come to them. The difference isn't luck. It isn't intelligence. It isn't morality. The difference is in their nature. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. A person who depends on others to survive can never be truly free. Dependence is weakness. Independence is strength. Today, we'll discuss the 10 rules that the wealthy quietly follow, and I'm going to make a confession to you. Because I too misunderstood these rules for years. Those who aren't ready for this can close the door right now, because this video won't put you at ease. It will unsettle you, and that unease is the beginning of change. Income sustains you. Wealth sets you free. For years, I completely misunderstood this. I thought hard work was the goal in itself. Get up earlier, work longer, earn more. And to be fair, my income did increase. But something strange happened. It seemed to disappear into thin air. As my income rose, my expenses rose at the same rate. I wasn't becoming independent. I was just raising my standard of living. I remember the day I got my first big raise. It wasn't a small increase. It was a real one. Within 2 months, I upgraded everything. A nicer apartment, a larger car payment, more expensive meals. I told myself, I deserve this. Maybe I did. But when I checked my savings account 3 months later, nothing had changed. Even though I was earning much more, I was still living paycheck to paycheck. That moment revealed a bitter truth to me. The problem wasn't my income. The problem was my behavior. A mentor once told me, income feeds you, wealth sets you free. That single sentence made everything clear. Rockefeller wasn't powerful just because he made money. He was powerful because he owned oil wells, refineries, and distribution networks. While pay yourself first, before bills, before fun, before upgrades. This isn't a rule about money. It's a rule about priorities. Who you pay first reveals who you're really working for. Most people pay everyone else first. Their landlord, the bank, subscriptions, restaurants. Then, if anything's left over, it goes toward their future. The wealthy reverse this order. They pay for their future first. Then they adjust their current lifestyle accordingly. Years ago, I spoke with a young professional. He thought saving small amounts was pointless. I suggested he set aside a small percentage of each paycheck. He laughed. What difference does 10 lira make? He said. Years later, his income had doubled. He still wasn't saving. The excuse had changed. The behavior hadn't. Now he was saying, I'll start when I'm earning more. This is where the truth becomes clear. Wealth begins with identity. Set up 3 money buckets: security, growth, and self-investment. Paying yourself first is powerful, but without a clear system, it's like sowing seeds at random. The first bucket is security. It's not exciting. No one brags about it, but it's the foundation everything else is built on. An emergency fund, stable investments. This bucket makes you resilient. The second bucket is growth. This is where opportunity lives. Businesses, emerging markets, scalable ideas. Most people are emotionally drawn to this first. And that's why most people lose money. They chase growth first, without establishing stability. The wealthy do the exact opposite. They establish security first, then pursue growth from a position of strength. The third bucket is the most overlooked: investing in yourself. Skills, health, knowledge, relationships. The wealthy constantly invest in themselves because they know their greatest assets aren't their portfolios, they're their capabilities. Machiavelli knew that a prince's greatest resource wasn't gold, it was talent. Build income-generating assets before upgrading your lifestyle. Modern culture advises the exact opposite. Upgrade now, reward yourself now, look successful now. Years ago, I met a man who seemed flawless on the outside. A luxury apartment, a premium car, expensive watches, designer clothes. Everything was impressive, but beneath the surface, he was trapped. It took an incredible amount of effort every month just to maintain that facade. His lifestyle owned him. He didn't own his lifestyle. When I asked him how much money he made while he slept, he couldn't answer. The wealthy approach life differently. They postpone visible luxury, and money follows value, not effort. Ordinary people believe that money follows effort. The wealthy know that it follows value. No two people can work at the same company, in the same industry, or even in the same position, and one can earn much more than the other. Why? Because one solves bigger problems. One creates a greater impact. No klump is easily replaceable. The other becomes irreplaceable. A mentor once told me something that permanently changed my perspective. Stop asking how you can work more hours. Start asking how you can be more valuable in fewer hours. That sentence completely changed my outlook. No, Jay-Z didn't just build his fortune by making music. Music generated interest. Ownership keep track of every dollar, because money slips away silently. Most people think wealth is created by earning more. In reality, countless people lose their wealth simply because they can't control what they've already earned. Ask someone how much they earn, and they'll know right away. Ask them where every dollar went last month, and most have no idea. Money doesn't just vanish, it slips away silently. One day I sat down with a young professional who was constantly complaining about money. His income was solid, but every month ended in disappointment. We did something simple. We tracked every single expense for a month. The results surprised him. He wasn't struggling because of a single big mistake. He was struggling because of hundreds of invisible decisions. Machiavelli knew that a ruler who did understand debt and taxes to keep more of what you earn. Two people can earn the same income. One builds wealth, the other remains trapped. The difference is usually not income, it's understanding. Most people have been taught to fear debt and hate taxes. As a result, they avoid learning about either. The wealthy do the exact opposite. They study the rules, then they use those rules wisely. Not all debt is created equal. Bad debt buys image and status, trading future freedom for present satisfaction. Good debt, on the other hand, buys assets. Assets that generate cash flow and provide returns. One type of debt creates dependency, the other creates leverage. Machiavelli understood something timeless. Not knowing the rules does not protect you from their consequences. And in finance, ignorance can become extremely costly. Think in terms of generations, not years. Most people make plans within the span of their own lives. How can I retire comfortably? How can I live well? These are reasonable questions, but they aren't questions about legacy. The wealthy ask something different. What remains because I exist? What foundation endures after I'm gone? Years ago, I met an elderly man named William. He didn't have a flashy success story, just a quiet self-assurance. He told me something I've never forgotten. I didn't work to make my life easier. I worked so my children wouldn't have to start from scratch. That is the essence of legacy. The tragedy is that most families pass on money, but not wisdom. The first generation makes sacrifices. The second generation witnesses those sacrifices. The third generation usually just enjoys the comfort. And comfort prioritize cash flow, because freedom is experienced every month. Most people think wealth is measured by net worth, but freedom isn't experienced on paper. Freedom is experienced month by month. I met a man who proudly described himself as a millionaire. Technically, he was. His assets looked impressive, but he was stressed every month. Payments, maintenance, taxes, obligations. His assets constantly demanded his attention. Then I met another man who seemed much more modest. No flash, no image of luxury, but he owned multiple income-generating assets. Rental income, dividends, business cash flow. Money came in whether he worked that day or not. One looked rich, the other felt free. The wealthy focus on cash flow. They constantly ask, will this pay me every month, or will it cost me every month? Invest in people. Your true net worth is your network. Learn mentors, partners, advisors, teams, and relationships multiply opportunities. I met a young entrepreneur who had devoured every book, course, and strategy imaginable. Yet he still felt stuck. I asked him one simple question. When you're not in the room, who speaks positively about you? He couldn't answer, because deep down he already knew. A businessman once told me, if I lost everything tomorrow, I could rebuild it within 5 years. Not because of money, but because of people. Because trust multiplies, reputation multiplies, relationships multiply. This is social capital, and social capital is usually more enduring than financial capital. You watched this video all the way through. It all boils down to a single truth. Income sustains you, wealth sets you free, cash flow liberates you, and a legacy ensures your legacy endures. These aren't shortcuts. They aren't secrets. They're principles. Principles that transform income into wealth, wealth into cash flow, and cash flow into freedom. But none of this is useful if it remains mere knowledge, because simply knowing doesn't change anything. Putting it into practice changes everything. Starting today, every time money comes into your hands, ask yourself one question. Will this seed die today, or will it turn into something that pays me back tomorrow? What will be the first asset you build this month? Be specific, because those who make public commitments are usually the ones who take action. Everyone else just scrolls past. If this way of thinking resonates with you, and you want to learn how to build silent power and create an asset-based life, subscribe. Every video here goes one layer deeper, quiet, unassuming, but sharp. Most people will watch this video and move on. A few will stay and change.